إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Indeed, my dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, all praise and glory is due to Allah Azza wa Jal. We praise Him, we glorify Him, we seek His aid, and we seek refuge with Allah Azza wa Jal from the evil inclinations of our own souls and from the evil inclinations of our own actions. Whomsoever Allah Azza wa Jal guides, none can misguide, and on the contrary, whomsoever Allah Azza wa Jal misguides, none can ever misguide, none can ever guide. And I bear witness and I testify that there is no deity except for Allah Azza wa Jal alone, al-Wahid al-Ahad, al-Awwal, and that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is His final beloved servant and messenger. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما فإن خير الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وإن شر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار والعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. My brothers and sisters in Islam, about 3 weeks ago in the khutbah that I delivered to you, we spoke about some key ayat in Surah Al-Muddathir. And today is going to be, inshallah, a continuation of that khutbah, because as 30 minutes was not enough. It was really enough to cover maybe the first part of the message that I wanted to deliver and remind you of, inshallah. So just to recapture what we discussed in Surah Al-Muddathir, it is agreed upon by the scholars that Surah Al-Muddathir was the first complete surah to be revealed to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? And therefore, there is critical and paramount importance behind the messaging and instruction in the surah. Particularly the first 7 ayat, Allah Azza wa Jal, He says to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and this is something that universally applies to us all, right? يا أيها المدثر قم فأنذر وربك فكبر وثيابك فطهر ورجز فاهجر ولا تمنن تستكثر ولربك فاصبر. Particularly, we focused on وَلَا تَمْنُنْ تَسْتَكْثِرْ, and we're going to continue to elaborate on that and what that means and what that applies and how that applies to us, right? And I encourage you, for the sake of time, again, because we covered this last time, we're not going to go through the meaning of each of the ayat, but I encourage you, open up Surah Al-Muddathir in the Hafs al-Asim. It is Surah number 74. Open it, study at least the first, read the entire surah. It's a beautiful surah, not very long. It is 56 ayat and about a page and a half long. Take your time to read through at least the first 7 ayat and look at the instruction from Allah Azza wa Jal. Very simple, straightforward instruction that will lead us to success, inshallah. So, وَلَا تَمْنُنْ تَسْتَكْثِرْ. What does this mean, right? Taking this further beyond the literal translation of the ayat, there is an underlying implication in this ayat. وَلَا تَمْنُنْ تَسْتَكْثِرْ means do not favor and pursue worldly gain at the expense of your akhirah, at the expense of the connection and fulfilling your obligation and duties and responsibilities to Allah Azza wa Jal. What does this mean, right? This doesn't mean that we're lazy, we don't pursue dunya at all, right? There is a certain aspect of our deen that encourage us to pursue dunya, but up to what extent? To the extent where our necessities are fulfilled. To the extent where our circumstances are such that enable us and allow us to focus on fulfilling our obligation to Allah Azza wa Jal, right? But, as we know, Iblis, he is constantly taking advantage. He is focusing on this one aspect of the human psyche. What is that, right? Allah Azza wa Jal, He tells us in Surah Al-Balad, in ayah number 4, that He created us in kabad. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي kabad. What is this kabad? Kabad is a state of imbalance. It's at the tip of imbalance. It's at the tip of being distressed all the time, right? This is why, my brothers and sisters in Islam, when we have a secure job, when we have secure earning, when all of our basic necessities are met, what comes next? We want more, right? And this is what Allah Azza wa Jal, He is instructing Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in His very first surah, complete surah to be revealed. Do not favor this worldly gain. So we have jobs, now we want to pursue promotions, right? And we all know that when you pursue a promotion, you are doing so much for just a little bit. And what more? You're doing it for more responsibility, less pay. For what? For the sake of status? Right? Fake status that is going to what? Cause you to now trade your time for the time you would have spent in pleasing Allah Azza wa Jal. This is the warning. So now, the status is not just limited to material status. This constant wanting, this constant yearning, this constant desire for us to improve our status and situation in pursuing the dunya, it's not just limited to just this material status. There's also a psychological and emotional aspect of this. We will talk more about this later on in the khutbah, inshallah. But I want to start by talking about what is the solution. What is the Quranic solution? And this is where we really didn't get to spend much time last time, because this is the key focal point of today's khutbah. What is the solution to not being succumbed to this waswas of the Shaytan that takes advantage of the fact that we are in this state of kabad, that Allah Azza wa Jal has created the humankind in kabad. Kabad means, again, this state of imbalance, right? And we know that Shaytan, he can't make us do anything. The only thing he can do is come and whisper. And it is up to us, based on how we have conditioned ourselves, our souls, our nafs, what we are used to, how we have habituated the way we lead our lives, and the way we prioritize Allah Azza wa Jal and Deen, is how we react to that waswas, right? So those who are not conditioned properly, they will listen to that waswas and say, oh yeah, let me spend all my time doing everything I need to do at the expense of Allah Azza wa Jal. I don't need to pray, I need to go get that promotion. I don't need to pray, I need to go establish this business. I don't need to pray, I need more money. I don't need to pray, I need to go do all these things that I desire more. The people who are not accustomed to fulfilling their obligations to Allah Azza wa Jal, they're going to easily go and listen to that, right? So what is the simple solution Allah Azza wa Jal tells us? And He makes it so clear. So first, one of the references is from Surah Al-Luqman, ayah number 12. Allah Azza wa Jal says, Anishkur lillah. Okay? Just thank Allah. The key messaging here is about being grateful to Allah Azza wa Jal. Anishkur lillah. وَمَنْ يَشْكُرْ فَإِنَّمَا يَشْكُرُ لِنَفْسِهِ. Those who are thankful, you're not being thankful for anything except for the improvement of your own self. Okay? وَمَنْ كَفَرَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ. And those who don't want to be thankful to Allah Azza wa Jal, He is al-Ghani. He is independent. He is free from all these needs. Right? He doesn't need our thanks. He doesn't need our worship. It is for us. When we thank Allah Azza wa Jal, it is only for ourselves that we are thanking Him. Now, in Surah Al-Ibrahim, ayah number 7, Allah Azza wa Jal really takes it to the next step, to the next level, right? Allah Azza wa Jal, He proclaims, لِأَنْ شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. And here's the solution, right? لِأَنْ شَكَرْتُمْ. Those who are thankful to me, I'm going to just increase them. So rather than spending all of our time on this hamster wheel, right? You get the illustration, right? When I'm trying to communicate with the hamster wheel. This is Shaytan's favorite tool for us. I'm going to give you a little scene, okay? Imagine there's a cage, right? There are two hamsters there, okay? One hamster is there, and you know, the caretaker of the hamsters, he's going to come and give them food every single day, right? Gives them some food, gives them some water. There's one hamster who may consider to be lazy, but you know, he actually plays, he does everything. When the food comes, he eats, he takes his drink, he minds his business and goes about his way. Then there's a second hamster. This is the hamster that Shaytan really likes, okay? This hamster, he eats his food, and then he sees, you know, there's a wheel, and on the other side there's this big fat cheese, and it looks so delicious, right? He gets on that hamster wheel, he said, maybe I can get that cheese, and he starts running. Oh, I'm going to get that cheese today, get running. But all he's doing is spinning his wheel, tiring himself out, never to get that cheese, and Shaytan is like, come on, you got it, keep going, you got it. You don't need to play and do what, you know, imagine these hamsters are Muslim, you know, that's not how it works, but, you know, just pretend, play along, right? Imagine they have to pray and have to do everything that Muslims have to do, right? This hamster, he's just running on the wheel, just like, let me get buff, let me get on this, I'm getting so buff on this hamster wheel, I'm getting so fit, I'm going to get that cheese. That's what, essentially, Shaytan makes us, you know, those who are not accustomed, this is what, look at life, like, this is what most people are doing, right? Whatever your level of situation is, every one of us has our own individualized, unique, prescribed test. And each of us have this silly little hamster wheel that each of us run on. And we get misguided. And we're not focusing on what? Pleasing Allah Azza wa Jal. And this other hamster, he's just thanking Allah every day, and he's getting his food. He's getting more food. Because you know, when the owner comes to give him the food, he goes and pets him. So the owner is more pleased with him, right? So he gives him more. SubhanAllah, same thing applies. Now Allah Azza wa Jal, He makes it even further clear, right? لِأَنْ كَفَرْتُمْ إِنَّ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ, right? Allah Azza wa Jal says two things, makes it very simple, crystal clear. Those who are thankful to me, if you are thankful for whatever I have given you, I will continue to increase your status, your station, elevate you in the dunya and akhirah. And if you are not grateful, and here's the problem, my brothers and sisters in Islam, we also live in this state of glass half full mentality all the time. I don't have this, I don't have that, oh he has this, oh he just got the new car, oh she just got this new thing, oh look at this social status, they're going on vacation, they're doing all this, right? This is all hamster wheel stuff. And Allah Azza wa Jal despises this to the point where He is saying, He's crystal clearly saying, those who are ungrateful, this is a form of being ungrateful to Allah Azza wa Jal. When we are doing all this, when we're not focusing on what we do have, and we're cultivating what we do have, and thanking Allah Azza wa Jal for all the ni'mah that He's blessed us with, and we are constantly focusing on what we don't have, Allah Azza wa Jal is saying, look, my punishment is severe. My punishment for this is severe. He makes it very simple, my brothers and sisters in Islam. Study this. It's from Surah Ibrahim, Ayah number 7. Just read it. Connect to it. And this is all being recorded. You can access this. If some of the dua I go over too fast, look at it yourself. Spend your time. When you connect to these simple prescriptions Allah Azza wa Jalla has given us, He's just made it so simple. Take the action, right? I always say, come to Jummah, don't leave empty-handed. Go and look at all the ni'mah in your life. Thank Allah Azza wa Jal for every little bit that you have. And you know, the problem is, we live in a time, we can say, compared to the genocide in the world, compared to the famine in the world, compared to all the problems and just tribulations that human beings face in the world, we live according to the standard of kings and queens. Regardless of what difficulties we have. Yet we are still always complaining, we don't have enough, we don't have enough, we don't have enough. I need to get this more. I need to get more money at the job. What is that going to do? In America, you get more money, your tax bill is just going to go higher. That's all. Right? What is it really changing your life? Is it really changing your life? It's not. It is not. We are just doing nothing but fooling ourselves into aspiring for more. That really is taking us away from the ultimate eternal success. Right? So now, my brothers and sisters in Islam, let's turn to the other aspect, which I mentioned, which is the psychological and emotional, right? But before we go there, I just want to wrap the prior topic up just by saying this, right? If we are grateful to Allah Azza wa Jal, right? we're not spending our time busying ourselves in, again, the pursuit of dunya. Again, let me reiterate, وَلَا تَمْنُنْ تَسْتَكْثِرْ. This is Allah Azza wa Jalla telling Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the best of mankind, the best of all of His creation. If He's telling Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam this, that means He also created Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with the same challenges, if not infinitely times more than what we are faced with, right? So to honor this, if you are really, truly grateful to Allah Azza wa Jal, each and every single one of us, we can start by considering what we're grateful for, and our lifetime will completely go, and we will not be able to thank Allah Azza wa Jal enough for what each and every single one of us has. So if we're grateful, we really start to prioritize what we are doing with our lives, with ourselves, with our time, with our energy, and limit ourselves to whatever we need for our bare necessities, for just surviving in dunya, and the rest of the time, thank Allah. Dedicate that time to connecting with Allah, fulfilling all of your obligations to Allah Azza wa Jal, and watch everything else just naturally increase by the promise of Allah Azza wa Jal, not to be taken lightly. So now to move on, my brothers and sisters in Islam, the other problematic area of ungratefulness is this emotional and psychological ungratefulness that I mentioned earlier, right? And this area of ungratefulness particularly applies to relationships, especially relationships between husband and wife, parents and children, vice versa, right? Let me explain what I mean. I'm going to start with the flaws of the brothers, right? I don't want to single out the sisters, that's not fair. Men are most of the time looking at the shortcomings of their wives, undermining or discounting their efforts, discounting what their wives are doing for them, and they're comparing them. Oh, you didn't do this for me, you didn't do that for me, oh, you're not pretty enough, this and this, right? Even if you don't say it, you're thinking it, right? And you're comparing them with, oh, I saw this, oh, maybe. The grass is always greener on the other side, right? And when you're looking at things that you should not be looking at anyway, right? All you're looking at are the highlights, right? You're looking at nothing but highlights. Highlights always look good. You look at the highlights of your own spouse, I guarantee you'll be very satisfied, right? Why don't you focus on the highlights of your spouse rather than the highlights of everything else you see, right? Then you'll be emotionally fulfilled and satisfied. But that's not the problem, right? The problem is, again, when you're getting, you don't appreciate, and you keep looking at what you are not getting. Same thing for the sisters, right? And this is not my word, right? This is not from me. This is from Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For the sisters, there's even a stricter warning from Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? Because sisters, this is what happens, right? You look at your husband, you start discounting their efforts. You don't understand all the obligations that they have, and you only look at them and you start saying, oh, you only did this for me once this year. Oh, you only did this twice. That once or twice, that should be more than enough for you. The fact that they had taken the time to do whatever it is once, in midst of all of their other obligations that they don't burden you with, that should be enough. And my sisters, my dear sisters, listen. Again, this is all of this, everything that we talk about on a weekly basis, everything in the Quran, وَمَا هِيَ إِلَّا ذِكْرَى لِلْبَشَرِ. It's nothing but a reminder for you. إِنَّ هَذِهِ تَذْكِرَةٌ, right? So that you may obey Allah to your success. And the very, very scary hadith of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is that when he was shown the hellfire, and again, when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam ascended on the night of the Mi'raj, right? He was taken through the entire space-time continuum to the time of when the hisab had been done, and this is after the Yawm al-Qiyamah, right? So time is space-time continuum is relative for Allah Azza wa Jalla. It's not the same space-time continuum in which we live, right? So he took him all the way to the future, right? And he showed him the hellfire. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, the majority of the dwellers of the hellfire were women who were ungrateful. And then he was asked by the companions, did they disbelieve in Allah? Is that why? No, they are not. They were ungrateful to their husbands and are ungrateful for the favors and the good charitable deeds done to them. Now, my brothers and sisters in Islam, I'm not talking about a situation where you're living in a oppressed relationship, right? When the husband is abusing the wife. That's not what I'm talking about, right? There are clear, things which exempt you from such situations, right? We're talking about normal situations. Normal situations where your husband is nice to you and you have a nice, stable relationship, and yet you are still ungrateful. You want more. You're not happy with what you've gotten. You keep wanting more. Oh, you know what? This house is not big enough. When are you going to give me a bigger house? Oh, you know what? This car, it's not good. Oh, I need these clothes. I need this jewelry. Oh, you didn't do this for me yesterday. You only did this once this year, right? This is a constant theme. This is what Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is talking about, right? And again, the same thing. The brothers will do the same thing too, right? This is not a one-way thing, right? This is a both ways. But the key thing here, because the gateways to Jannah for the sisters, it's very easy. They just have to be obedient to their husband and honor their husband. Not just obedience, but honor their husband, right? That's it. And for the men, you read Surah Al-Nisa, their obligation is to be a protector of their women. A protector. So understand, when you are given this facility that your wife has to be so kind and nice to you, and that their Jannah is by obedience to you, there is a condition for that. You have to be treating them very kindly. You have to be treating them with mild manners. You have to be a protector over them and not abuse them psychologically, physically, in any way. They are created very fragile, delicate creatures. Allah Azza wa Jalla says this. Read it in Surah Al-Nisa. So what is the solution? What is the solution behind, around this? What is the Quranic solution? You can find this in Surah Al-Furqan. You can find this in Surah Al-Furqan, ayah number 74, right? وَالَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ Subhanallah. رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. Right? A very, very strong, it's a famous dua, powerful dua, but if you don't know it, open up Surah Al-Furqan, ayat number 74, right? This is a dua where you're asking Allah Azza wa Jal, grant us from amongst our wives, our spouses, and our offspring, let them be the coolness and softness of our eyes. This covers everything. The coolness and softness, if you have righteous wife, righteous children, righteous spouse, right? Everything, their manners, they're going to be coolness, soft to you, right? And not only that, let us be amongst those who are leaders of the righteous people, right? Not leaders in areas that really don't matter, right? Yeah, sure, you can be a business leader, fine. But more so, before you're a leader in the secular world, make sure you're a leader among the righteous people. Make sure you're an example of what a Muslim should be. And we talked about this in detail the last khutbah, right? This is the type of leadership we want to aspire to, that we are constantly a beacon of exemplification of how we should carry ourselves as Muslim. And then there's also another dua. So now the other thing is when you have children, and you're constantly ungrateful toward the efforts that children make, right? Same dua will apply to the same situation for this other situation where we look at our children and we say, oh, such and such child, they're doing better, they're excelling more in these areas, right? Allah Azza wa Jal, He is the controller of everything. This is very wrong to do psychologically for your kids also, right? When you constantly compare them to others, in whatever area, even if it's in a righteous avenue, even if it's in Quran, right? Your children are struggling to maybe recite Quran as nicely as the other child. So what? The fact that they're doing it, the fact that they're struggling, the fact that they're trying, it's by the will of Allah Azza wa Jal. Appreciate them for what they are doing to be close to Allah, not how good they are at it. Because that is in the hands of Allah Azza wa Jal. Right? إِنَّ عَلَيْنَا جَمْعَهُ وَقُرْآنَهُ فَإِذَا قَرَأْنَا فَأْتَبِعْ قُرْآنَهُ. Allah Azza wa Jal says in Surah Al-Qiyamah, ayah number 6, 17 and 18. And he said this to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, right? When Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was kind of hastening to capture the ayat, he said, look, your task, this whole undertaking of the Quran, it's on us to put it in your heart. The recitation of how well you recite the Quran, it's on us to put it on you. You have nothing to do with it, but just your sincere effort. We will put it on whom we choose. So if you see your children, and I'm talking about righteous pursuits, right? Most of us are worrying about if they're doing good on the science fair, why didn't they get the grand prize in the science fair and this other person did? You're making them waste their time on this stuff and not focusing on salat, not focusing on learning Quran, not focusing on learning deen. So again, school, whatever they're doing there, that should be just to be enough to be sufficient to get them through to learn. Focus on learning rather than the outcome. The idea which we lose track of is we forget to learn and we're more focused on what the results look like. What are the numbers? What are your grades? Some of us can get 100% score and then learn nothing out of it. Others, maybe, just a passing grade, but they're focusing on learning deen, and that's more important, my brothers and sisters in Islam. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله ولي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وصلى الله عليه وسلم. So, my brothers and sisters in Islam, I will once more reiterate Surah Ibrahim, ayah number 7, right? The central messaging reminder of this khutbah, again, is to be grateful, right? So Allah Azza wa Jal, He proclaims, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you are grateful to me, to Allah Azza wa Jal, He will just increase you, right? And He warns you, لَإِن كَفَرْتُمْ إِنَّ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ. So whenever you catch yourself complaining about whatever your circumstance is, whenever you catch yourself asking, oh, I wish I had this, I wish I had that, I wish I had this, oh, why don't I have this, oh, he has this, she has that. Whenever you find yourself doing this, just know it's the waswas of the Shaytan and you're just letting him win. Thank Allah, look at all the good things that you have, and what would you do if some of those things were not with you? What would you do if you didn't have your eyesight? Simple. What would you do if you didn't have your good health? What would you do if your children didn't have their good health? وَنَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ بِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ. What if your condition were not such that you are able to live as smoothly and easily as you are? Just consider that the next time you find yourself wanting to be ungrateful and wanting more of dunya. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal for righteousness in dunya and more in the akhirah. And the reason Allah Azza wa Jal is so strict about this, my brothers and sisters in Islam, why is He so strict? Because He knows that when you're ungrateful, when you continue to want more, when you continue to pursue, you're going to do nothing but what? Neglect your salat, neglect your obedience to Allah Azza wa Jal, neglect your connection to your success in the akhirah. So let us not be like those who are in the hellfire, in the hellfire, who will say, right, again in Surah Al-Muddathir, right? They will say, مَا سَلَكَكُمْ فِي سَقَرٍ. They will be asked by those in paradise, by their friends who are their friends in the world, they will say, what has landed you in this saqar? قَالُوا لَمْ نَكُ مِنَ الْمُصَلِّينَ. They're going to say, we were not amongst those who prayed. وَلَمْ نَكُ نُطْعِمُ الْمِسْكِينَ. And we did not take the time to feed the poor. We didn't pay our zakat properly. We were stingy with our zakat and our charitable deeds. وَكُنَّا نَخَاضُ مَعَ الْخَاعِدِينَ. And we engaged in this vain affairs. We were bickering and complaining about vain things. And all of this, it's summarized to what? وَكُنَّا نُكَذِّبُ بِيَوْمِ الدِّينِ. Because we were this, our actions, all these actions that we did, they basically fortified the fact that we are disbelievers in the Yawm ad-Din. We did not believe in the Day of Judgment. And therefore we landed ourselves in the hellfire. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله ولي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافينا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا شر ما قضيت فإنه تقضي ولا يقضى عليك وإنه لا يذل من وليت ولا يعز من أذيت وربنا وتعاليت وأقيموا الصلاة.